Okay, we're going to be starting an IV today. I have already verified my orders, informed my patient, checked for any allergies, and I've gathered my equipment, washed my hands before I start, and I want to pad my bed with a chucks, and then get my equipment out and get it ready. I have a new saline flush that I'm going to flush my saline lock with. And when these are new, they kind of like, they're stiff, and they're sealed. And before you remove the white cap, what you need to do is just give it a push on the plunger. This one has already been broken, but usually they kind of have like a little seal there, and they're real stiff until you break it. And if you push on it with the cap off, it'll squirt to the ceiling if you're not realizing what you're doing. So I always pushed on them with the cap still on, break that seal. I want to hold it completely upright. I'll pull down a little bit to get that air bubble off the tip, and then push it up and completely purge the air. And once I've done that, then I can pull out my saline lock, and I'm not going to touch the tip, so therefore I don't have to cleanse it because it was in sterile packaging. And flush my lock, getting all the air out of it. This one's been used before and it's got some air. I like to take my little cap off and then lay it back into my container so that I can keep this tip sterile. And it's easier for me to pick up. I also like to, actually you don't need to have your slide clamp closed at this time, and I like to keep it back towards the syringe to keep it out of my way so that when I reach to pick it up it's not in my way. Alright. So I need to focus on site selection. I'm going to put my tourniquet on 4 to 6 inches above the site ultimately that I choose. And when I'm placing it, I'm going to cross it over, hold it with my thumb, and then push it under, leaving the ends upward. And then that way I have one that I can just grab quickly, and it'll be a quick release and the whole thing comes off. Always be sure to check your pulse to make sure that you haven't occluded the arterial. So I'm going to palpate. Generally when you're doing palpation, it's a light touch. I've already identified this really nice one. You also know that you're going to start in the hand in case the patient's got several days ahead of them of IV therapy, probably with antibiotics. And so we want to start low so that we can gradually move up. But just for the sake of being easy and free today, we're going to choose this forearm site. Okay, so I'm going to remove my tourniquet and cleanse my site. I have the chlorhexidine, and may come in this foam packaged deal or as an ampule. Actually, the foam thing has an ampule in it right here that you'll want to then just pull back on the wings, and that breaks the ampule in there and releases the liquid. With chlorhexidine, you don't have to do the concentric circles that start in the middle and then gradually get larger going outward as you do with alcohol. But this one, you can just do a good vigorous back and forth scrub, 30 seconds in a dry area and 2 minutes in a moist area, like if you have an antecubital that is moist. Okay, so I do a good 30-second scrub. Done with that. I want to open my vena cap. and kind of visualize it. Make sure there's no burrs or any manufacturing defects. Check it, make sure everything looks okay. And all right, put that back on. At this point, I need to get my gloves on. And in my IV Start kit, I've got a little 2x2 that is available to catch any blood spills or whatever. Put my tourniquet back on. I think I got my gloves too big, but check my pulse. Make sure I've got a good pulse here. I do not want to contaminate my site by palpating any further. I'm going to pull the skin taut. I don't want my thumb in the way. I want bevel up, and I'm holding this with my middle finger and my thumb, and then I'll use my forefinger then to advance the cathetron once I get in. Okay, so I pull the skin taut. I'm going in at a 15 to 30 degree angle. Actually, it's a pretty low angle, and you got to be cautious not to go out the back side of the vein. Go in right over the vein, and as you go through, you feel a little give. We'll say a little pop. Once you feel it, advance the cathetron just a hair further, so that you know that you're well in the vein, and then start to push the tab forward with your finger. Now I'm going to hold this, pull back until it clicks, keeping my finger on the tab. Release my tourniquet, and then I need to occlude the vein. I'm going to avoid the area of insertion, trying to avoid contaminating my site. Hold firmly to the end of my vena cath, to my hub, and I've got my saline lock. I'm going to quickly twist off the needle portion, and getting blood return there. Twist on, try to make sure that I'm holding the hub of my vena cath steady. Alright, I can take my little 2x2 and clear up any blood that I might have made a mess with. And then I'm ready to secure, well no, excuse me, I need to flush. It should flush easily. If it doesn't, if it seems to be difficult to flush, then what you're looking for, about at the end of your vena cath, at the tip of it, you'll see some swelling right there. It'll start to puff up. Also, the patient may complain of pain, and so I'm just looking for any adverse signs. I can go ahead and flush 3 milliliters in and lock it off if I prefer. Here's one type of a dressing that might be used. I can just remove one end of it, placing this over my site. It's got an area for the hub there, so I could put it on there like that, and then peel off the back edge of it. I'm a little off center, but still that's okay. Okay, so I could use this device. What we have here, I just kind of wanted to show you that. It's really kind of cool. I'll leave them laying out for y'all to look at. But this is just a regular Tegaderm. Peel the backing off of it and place it. I like to put the insertion site at the center of the Tegaderm. You don't want to stretch them too much because it can actually cause little tears in the skin. Peel off the paper. Alright, and then I'll save this little piece to here once I'm finished to put my initials, this gauge Venicath, date and time on there. And I have some tape that come in my Ivy Start Kit, but I have some other here that I'm just going to tear and get me a little half of it. I can choose to do a chevron over the top of my dressing, going from one side to the other, and that holds it pretty secure. I could do that actually, or rather than doing that, push this up a little bit, I could have just put a piece of tape down, and you all might choose to do this because that way it may be a little easier for you. Tape the tape to itself a bit, and so basically just put one piece straight across it. I could have at any time, once I flush my lock, disconnected my saline, and then what I want to do is just take one piece of tape going from one side, covering this area real well where I have tubing that is basically a portal of entry for any germs, and go over here, and I'm going to tape the tape to itself and back down to my site. Okay, and so let's say that I have written my gauge Venicath, the date, my initials on this, and I'm going to tape it over here to the side, out of the way so it doesn't obscure my site as I'm watching for any redness or any problems. At this point, if I needed a continuous line, I would hook my IV tubing then to my connector here. Document the gauge Venicath, and oh goodness,